In the chaotic world of Deadpool, we aren't just drawn in by the action, but by the sharp edge of humor that makes it all feel alive. Deadpool doesn't just break the fourth wall. He tears it down with reckless abandon, making you a part of the joke as he performs his stunts. His humor, woven into the very fabric of every battle scene, keeps things light even in the midst of what could otherwise be grim violence. By pausing mid-fight to wink at the audience, Deadpool reclaims control over the tone of his story. In a world where superheroes are often caught up in their own mythos, Deadpool revels in the absurdity of it all. This casual irreverence is what makes him so compelling, offering a contrast to the traditional hero narrative that could easily slip into melodrama. Now, in comparison, Morbius opens in a dark alley, shrouded in shadows, intentionally steering away from the humor Deadpool thrives on. With his vampiric features exaggerated by glowing eyes and bared fangs, Morbius seems to symbolize the weight of tragedy. This darkness, while intentionally somber, creates a sense of disconnect. In a genre that increasingly plays with lightheartedness and meta-humor, Morbius remains firmly entrenched in a narrative that takes itself too seriously, stifling the character's potential for relatability. What makes Deadpool work is not just his irreverence, but the way he invites the audience to laugh at him first. His self-deprecating humor doesn't just make him funny, it makes him human. While other superheroes are busy portraying their perfect lives, Deadpool leans into his flaws. He is messy, chaotic, and embraces his shortcomings. This sets him apart in a genre dominated by characters who often take themselves far too seriously. Historically, humor has always been a powerful tool for heroes. Figures like Spider-Man have used quips to cut through tension, but Deadpool takes it a step further by constantly mocking himself. The meta-humor, where he acknowledges his own absurdity and the conventions of superhero movies, resonates with an audience that is increasingly aware of the formulaic nature of these films. In fact, Deadpool's ability to laugh at himself creates a stark contrast to the stoic heroes of the MCU and DC universes, who often carry the weight of their roles too seriously. Morbius, however, leans hard into the tragic anti-hero archetype. He's burdened by his powers, his life, and the monster he becomes. But this self-serious approach makes it difficult for the audience to connect with him. While Deadpool's flaws make him endearing, Morbius' reluctance to laugh at himself isolates him from the audience. There's no room for levity in his world, no invitation for the audience to relate to his struggle in any way other than sorrow. Deadpool's most defining trait is his ability to break the fourth wall, a tool he uses with precision to engage his audience. His humor thrives not just on situational comedy, but on the meta-commentary about his role in the superhero genre. When Deadpool pauses mid-battle to look at the camera, he's doing more than making a joke. He's letting the audience in on the absurdity of it all. He knows he's in a superhero movie, and more importantly, he knows how ridiculous it can be. This gives him the freedom to make jokes that operate on multiple levels, blending slapstick with self-awareness. The history of breaking the fourth wall in film is storied, with comedic greats like Groucho Marx and Ferris Bueller utilizing it to make their characters feel more immediate and personable.
I think it was John Lennon who once said, "There's no such thing as talent. It's just knowing how to do something."
In superhero media, though, Deadpool stands alone, turning what could be a tired gimmick into a hallmark of his storytelling. By making the audience a part of his joke, Deadpool forges a connection that other superheroes simply cannot. Morbius, however, stays confined within the traditional narrative. There's a seriousness that permeates the movie, which leaves no space for a meta-level reflection. The movie could have used this darkness to poke fun at itself or offer some self-aware humor, but instead, it leans too heavily into its brooding atmosphere. Where Deadpool thrives in embracing the ridiculousness of the superhero genre, Morbius resists, treating its subject matter with an undue sense of gravitas that only serves to distance the viewer. One of Deadpool's strongest assets is its R-rated freedom, giving the film permission to delve into mature themes, irreverent jokes, and brutal violence without holding back. In many ways, this rating allows Deadpool to reflect the chaos of his character. He's unpredictable, vulgar, and not bound by the usual superhero rules. This rating has a deep historical context, as R-rated comic adaptations like Watchmen or Blade pushed the boundaries of what superhero movies could explore. But where those films leaned into darker, more somber narratives, Deadpool uses its rating for comedic effect, blending action with outrageous humor. In contrast, Morbius remains confined by its PG-13 rating, which significantly limits the film's ability to fully embrace the darkness of its themes. While the character of Morbius, a vampire anti-hero, seems ripe for exploration within a darker, more mature context, the film holds back, never fully diving into the grim aspects of his powers or the violence inherent in his struggle. Instead, it remains safe, restrained, and ultimately forgettable. Without the edge of an R rating or a tone that matches its subject matter, Morbius feels muted, unable to fully realize its potential. Deadpool shines, not just because of his humor, but because of the ensemble cast that surrounds him. Each supporting character adds a different flavor to the comedy, from Weasel's deadpan sarcasm to Dopinder's awkward charm. Even Blind Al, with her sharp tongue and bizarre relationship with Wade, brings a unique dynamic to the humor. These characters aren't just there to fill space. They serve as foils to Deadpool's chaotic energy, amplifying the comedic tone of the film. This diversity in humor keeps the film fresh, ensuring that the audience is constantly engaged. In contrast, Morbius lacks a supporting cast with the same comedic energy. While the film introduces several secondary characters, none of them contribute to the humor or lighten the film's tone. They exist solely to push the plot forward, but without distinct personalities or moments of levity, they fade into the background. This creates a monotonous experience, where the weight of Morbius' serious tone becomes overbearing, without any comedic relief to balance it out. Deadpool's mastery of fourth wall breaking is not just for comedic effect. It's an essential narrative tool that allows him to navigate the superhero genre with complete awareness. Whether he's poking fun at cinematic conventions, superhero cliches, or even the film's own production, these moments of meta-commentary enrich the audience's experience. When Deadpool glances at the camera, he's not just making a joke. He's offering a critique of the very world he inhabits, and by extension, the genre itself. Morbius, on the other hand, completely ignores this opportunity. While the film's dark tone could have benefited from moments of self-awareness, it instead doubles down on its seriousness. There's no space for irony or critique within its world, which leaves the audience feeling distanced from the character's internal struggles. Without this extra layer of engagement, Morbius remains a straightforward and ultimately uninspiring superhero tale. By exploring each element in greater detail, we can see how Deadpool thrives, not just because of its humor, but because of its willingness to embrace the absurdity of the superhero genre. In contrast, Morbius suffers from taking itself too seriously, missing the opportunity to create a dynamic, engaging narrative. The contrast between these two films illustrates why humor, self-awareness, and diverse characters are essential for creating a superhero movie that resonates with modern audiences.